This begins with a single powerful decision. You must trust the vision. You have to believe deep in your bones that the time you invest in yourself and understanding your inner landscape, your emotional currents, is the most valuable investment you will ever make. This isn't about following someone else's rule book. This is you choosing your own path because you genuinely believe this is the way. It's a calling, a whisper that says, I want to know what I'm made of. I want to excavate the parts of myself I've been too afraid to look at. Those shadows I've tried to outrun for years. There is only one way to achieve true freedom from this. You must become transparent. You must bring light to every dark corner within. Because a life half lived in shadow is not a whole life. It's a prison of your own making. Here's a truth to live by. Act as if the highest, most elevated version of yourself is always watching, because it is. That witness is you, the you that you are striving to become. Before any thought, word, or action, ask that version of yourself. Does this create more light, more freedom, more joy? Or does it nourish conflict, density, and burden? Every choice pulls you toward one of two forces in this universe. One toward limitless expansion, and the other toward constriction. Your patterns, your most dominant emotions from the last week, were they light, liberated, and joyful? Or heavy, limiting, and dense? This awareness is your compass. It shows you exactly what needs to transform. The path and the distractions to walk this path. Your mind must be set on the goal. But beware the 5 hindrances, the mental states that will try to derail you. Sensual desire, the easy distraction of pleasure. It's not that beauty is bad, but if you abandon your mission for every tempting sight, sound, or smell, you will never arrive. Aversion, the rejection of discomfort. The path will rain on you. Will you stop because you don't like the weather, or will you keep walking? This isn't about rigid discipline for its own sake. It's about cultivating awareness. You must first see the distraction before you can choose not to follow it. Navigating the storms within anger, jealousy, ill will. These are not strangers to any of us. They are ancient patterns. Sin. The anger you feel today is the same anger you felt as a child. Only the trigger has changed. The goal is not to get rid of these feelings that would make you less human. The goal is to stop letting them control you unconsciously. The difference between a reaction and a response is the light of your awareness. When you feel that storm of ill will rising, that heat of unfairness, that weight of judgment, here is your practice. Acknowledge and distance. First, name it. This is ill will. If it's overwhelming, physically remove yourself. Create space. Breathe with intention. This is not trivial. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, release the steam. Combine your breath with a mantra of understanding. They don't know better. Or this does not serve me. Access a higher quality. This is the master key. You must have practiced accessing states like compassion in moments of calm. Recall the greatest love you have ever felt. Remember that hug, that moment of pure connection. Remember how it felt in your heart. Now from that place, look at the person triggering you. Wish for them what you wish for yourself, to be free from suffering. You have a choice at any moment. You can tap into the darkness that is always available on the streets, or you can tap into the light you've cultivated within. Ask yourself the most honest question when you're in that dark place. Does this feel good? Does this state benefit me or anyone else? The answer is always no. There is zero benefit to living there. So choose the light. Choose expansion. Choose to become the elevated version of yourself that is always, always watching. And live a life worthy of that witness. Continue, of course. Here is the continuation, building on the stylistic and motivational tone. The architecture of your inner citadel, knowing the path is one thing, walking it is another. This is where we move from philosophy to practice, to building the inner architecture that allows you to stand firm when the storms come. This isn't about building a wall to hide behind. It's about constructing a lighthouse within, so that no matter how turbulent the sea, your light never goes out. Think of your mind as a vast, fertile land. The hindrances, those weeds of distraction and aversion, will always try to take root. You cannot simply wish them away. You must consciously plant and nurture more virtuous seeds. Whew. This is what the ancient frameworks provide, not as a rigid set of rules to enslave you, but as a gardener's guide to tending your own soul. The 14 virtues, the 14 virtues, the 4 pillars. These are not arbitrary numbers, they are a map. They give structure to the seemingly monumental task of self-mastery. They answer the question, what do I cultivate? When the world asks you to consume, they provide a checklist for the heart. But remember, a map is useless without the skill to read it. Discipline without awareness is like a powerful engine with no driver. You will move, but chaotically, likely crashing. First, you must develop the piercing clarity to see the moment of temptation as it arises, to feel the pull of sensual desire or the push of aversion before your foot leaves the path. The practice of standing above yourself. So how do you develop this awareness? You practice the art of metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. You learn to de-identify. When anger surges, instead of being the anger, you observe it. You say, there is anger. It is visiting me again. This simple shift from I am angry to there is anger is revolutionary. It creates a sliver of space, a breath of freedom between the trigger and your response. In that space, you can become your own coach. You, the conscious, elevated self, can look at the part of you that is struggling and ask, what does this part of me need right now? What old wound is being touched? How would the best version of me handle this? This is not avoidance. This is supreme engagement. You are not running from the feeling. You are bringing a wiser, kinder authority to manage it. The alchemy of breath and heart, this is where the breath becomes your greatest ally. It is the physical tether between your unconscious reaction and your conscious response. The instruction to just breathe is not a cliche. It is a profound technology of transformation, but we must use it with intention. Don't just breathe. Breathe in a specific quality. Breathe out a specific density. Inhale, compassion. Recall that memory of pure love you cultivated in your private practice. Let it fill your lungs. Exhale, ill will. Visualize the resentment, the jealousy, the frustration as a dark smoke, leaving your body and dissolving into nothing. You are not a passive victim of your emotion. You are an alchemist, using the breath to transmute leaden feelings into gold. Your invitation to a lighter life. This is the ongoing work. This is the sacred contract you make with yourself. It is the decision made again and again to choose the expansive force over the restrictive one, to choose lightness over density, to choose freedom over the familiar prison of your patterns, to choose the light of awareness over the comfortable dark. The journey is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming present. It is about becoming present. It is about showing up for your life with such unwavering honesty and compassion that you naturally become a beacon, first for yourself, and then for everyone around you. So I ask you, which force will you nourish today? The one that limits or the one that liberates? The choice, as it always has been, is yours. Count anew, of course. Here is the continuation, focusing on the practical integration of these principles into daily life. The symphony of your days. This work does not exist in a vacuum, separate from your real life. It is your real life. It is your real life. The goal is not to escape to a mountaintop to find peace, but to weave this awareness into the very fabric of your daily existence, into the commute, the boardroom, the quiet moments of frustration, and the loud moments of joy. This is where theory meets the road and where your transformation becomes tangible. Think of your day not as a series of tasks, but as a continuous symphony. You are both the composer and the conductor. The hindrances are the dissonant notes. The virtues are the harmonious melodies. Your awareness is the baton. Your job is not to silence the orchestra, but to guide it, to integrate every note into a coherent, beautiful whole. Start small, but start now. Your practice begins the moment your eyes open. Before you reach for your phone, before the mental checklist begins, gift yourself 3 breaths, 3 conscious, intentional breaths. Inhale the potential of a new day. Exhale the residue of the night. Set your inner compass. Whisper your intention. Today I choose to see. Today I choose lightness. This is your anchor. Throughout the day you will return to it. The art of the conscious pause. The world will rush at you. Emails will demand, notifications will ping, people will interrupt. This is not an obstacle to your practice. It is the very gym where you train your spiritual muscles. Before you react, institute the conscious pause. A difficult email arrives. Feel the tension rise. Pause. 1 breath. Ask your elevated self, will a reactive response create more light or more density? Someone cuts you off in traffic. Feel the flash of anger. Pause. 1 breath. Is this worth carrying in my heart for the next hour? You make a mistake. Feel the wave of self-criticism. Pause. 1 breath. How would I speak to my best friend in this moment? This pause is an act of rebellion against autopilot. It is a declaration that you are in command. You're in a sanctuary. You must build an inner sanctuary, a mental and emotional space you can retreat to that no external circumstance can touch. This is built in those moments of solitude we discussed. This is where you do the deep work of recall and cultivation. Sit in silence, close your eyes, travel back to a moment of profound peace, of unconditional love, of pure joy. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of laughter with a loved one, the feeling of complete absorption in a task you love. Feel it. Don't just remember it. Let the sensation flood your body. This is not nostalgia. This is neural reprogramming. You are etching these pathways of feeling so deeply that they become your default, your home base. When ill will strikes, you are not trying to create compassion from scratch. You are simply returning to a state you know intimately. The ripple effect, do not underestimate the ripple effect of this work. As you become more transparent to yourself, you become a clearer mirror for others. As you nourish lightness within, you cannot help but reflect it outward. Your calm in the midst of chaos becomes a silent invitation for others to find their own. Your compassionate response to aggression disarms it, often without a word. Your refusal to engage in gossip or negativity shifts the energy of an entire room. This is not your responsibility. It is a natural consequence. You are not fixing the world. You are ordering your inner world, and the outer world cannot help but reflect that order. The ever-unfolding journey, this is not a destination. There is no final certificate of enlightenment. It is an ever-unfolding journey of coming back to yourself again and again and again. Some days you will feel light as a feather, connected and clear. Other days the density will feel overwhelming. On those days, your only task is to be kind to the part of you that is struggling, to acknowledge the cloud without becoming the storm. Remember the question, what am I made of? You are not made of your passing emotions. You are not your anger, your fear, or your jealousy. You are the awareness that witnesses all of it. You are the conscious space in which the entire symphony of your human experience plays out. Your potential is limitless. Your path is yours to walk. Take the next step. Breathe the next breath. Choose the next thought. The journey continues now. Count to new, of course. Here is the next part of the narrative, focusing on deepening the practice and navigating the inevitable challenges, the crucible of relationship. If you want to see your progress measured in real time, do not look at the silent moments of meditation. Look into the eyes of the people closest to you. Your family, your partner, your colleagues. These relationships are the ultimate crucible where your awareness is tested, tempered, and proven true. It is easy to feel expansive when you are alone on a walk. The true test is, can you maintain that expansiveness when your partner says the one thing that reliably triggers you? Can you find compassion when a family member embodies the very trait you find most difficult? This is not about being a passive doormat. It is about responding from a different center of gravity. When an old pattern is activated, the unconscious reaction is to contract, to defend, to attack. The conscious response born from your practice is to first feel the contraction within your own body, the clenched jaw, the tightened gut, and to breathe into that. Before you speak, ask the elevated version of yourself, what is the most nourishing words that can be spoken here? What is the truth that needs to be said, but can be said with kindness? Often the most powerful thing to do is to name the dynamic aloud with humility. I feel myself getting defensive, which tells me this is important. Can we pause for a moment? This act of vulnerability, of transparency, disarms conflict faster than any winning argument ever could. The deep well of resilience as you walk this path. You will build something more valuable than any material possession. Deep, unshakable resilience. You are building an inner well that cannot be drained by external circumstances. The 5 hindrances transform from daunting obstacles into familiar signposts. You begin to recognize them not as failures, but as invitations to return to your center. Sensual desire becomes a reminder to ask, am I seeking external pleasure to fill an internal void? Aversion becomes a signal to lean in and ask, what is this discomfort trying to teach me? What am I avoiding? Ill will becomes a flashing alarm to activate your heart. Quality practice immediately. Restlessness becomes a cue to ground yourself with a few conscious breaths. Doubt becomes a question to be curious about. What is the specific fear underneath this doubt? You are no longer at war with these states. You are in a dialogue with them. They become the rough texture that polishes the stone of your spirit, making it smoother, more resilient, more radiant. The integration of shadow you asked about, the parts of yourself you are afraid to look at. This work requires you to finally turn and face them, not with a sword, but with a lantern. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the rejected, suppressed parts of ourselves we try to hide from the world and from our own consciousness. But here is the secret. A hidden wound cannot heal. The energy you use to keep that shadow locked away is the very energy that could be fueling your freedom. The practice of bringing light to the dark is the bravest work you will ever do. It means sitting with your jealousy and asking it what deep need for security or recognition it represents. Oh, it means listening to your anger to understand what boundary was crossed or what value was violated. This is not to excuse harmful behavior, but to understand its source. When you understand the source, you can address the root cause with compassion rather than just pruning the ugly leaves, sir. You integrate the shadow, and in doing so, you become whole. You reclaim the power you gave to your demons. The unfolding continues. This is a lifelong journey of coming home to yourself. There is no graduation day. There are only constant, gentle returns to the breath, to awareness, to intention. Some days you will feel like a master of your universe. Other days, you will feel like a beginner, fumbling in the dark. On both days, the instruction is the same. Be kind, be curious, show up. You are not trying to build a perfect life. You are practicing how to be perfectly present for the life you have. So take this not as a burden, but as an invitation to live more lightly, more freely, more authentically than you ever thought possible. The path is right here. The next step is yours. What will you choose to bring light to today? Counter new, of course. Here is the continuation, moving into the realm of sustained practice and the evolution of the self. The architecture of a awakened life. Understanding is the map, but practice is the journey. To move from fleeting moments of clarity to a sustained state of awakened living, you must become the architect of your daily existence. This means designing a life that consciously supports your highest self rather than one that constantly triggers your lowest. This architecture is built on ritual and rhythm, not rigid, punishing schedules, but gentle, nourishing rhythms that honor the natural flow of your energy. Morning, your sanctuary of intention. Before the world lays its claims upon you, claim your own mind. Those few minutes of silence, of breath, of setting your compass, they are non-negotiable. They are your declaration that this day will be lived by you. not done to you. Throughout the day, your mindful checkpoints set reminders not for tasks, but for states of being. A chime on your phone that asks, "Are you here? Are you conscious?" Before entering a meeting, take 2 breaths to ground yourself. Let these be tiny anchors dropped into the river of your day, slowing the current, bringing you back to the now. Evening, your sacred reflection, not a critique of what went wrong, but a compassionate review. Where did I choose light today? Where did I choose density? What did I learn? This is how you close the day with grace, integrating the lessons and releasing what does not serve you. The alchemy of perception. As your inner world shifts, your perception of the outer world undergoes a profound alchemy. You begin to see that the trigger is not the person or the event. It is the unhealed wound within you that resonates with it. The colleague who micromanages doesn't cause your frustration. They reveal your own deep-seated need for autonomy and trust. The stranger's disrespect doesn't cause your anger. It touches your own unconscious belief about your self-worth. This is the ultimate empowerment. When you realize that nothing outside of you has the power to define your inner state without your consent, you become free. You stop trying to rearrange the outside world to feel peace inside. You generate the peace inside, and the outside world miraculously begins to reflect it back to you. You move from being a victim of circumstance to a conscious creator of your experience. The practice of deep compassion, this journey, is not for you alone. The lightness you cultivate is a currency that must be spent in the service of others. This is where your practice meets its ultimate purpose, the development of unshakable compassion. Compassion is not pity. It is not feeling sorry for someone. This is what the sages call enlightenment. Not a trophy to be won, but a homecoming to your natural state. The hindrances still arise, but they are like clouds passing through the vast sky of your awareness. They do not threaten the sky. They do not change its nature. They are simply noticed, acknowledged, and allowed to drift on by. You realize the goal was never to become something else. It was to cease identifying with the temporary weather patterns of your mind and return to the eternal clarity that is your birthright. The sacredness of the ordinary in this state of effortless being. The most ordinary moments become sacred. You find profound joy, not in dramatic achievements, but in the sensory miracle of existence itself. The taste of cool water on a warm day. The feeling of your feet firmly on the ground. The silent communication of a glance with a stranger who shares a moment of understanding. Life ceases to be a problem to be solved and becomes a mystery to be savored. Your to-do list is no longer a chain of obligations, but a tapestry of opportunities to practice presence. Folding laundry becomes meditation. Commuting becomes contemplation. A conversation becomes a chance to truly see another soul. This is the great secret. Nirvana is not a distant paradise. It is the perfection of this very moment seen through clear eyes. Your legacy of light, this work, this relentless returning to presence, is the most important contribution you can make to a world that often sleepwalks through its days. Your transformation is not a selfish act. It is a radical gift to humanity. As you heal your own inner divisions, you send out a ripple of coherence into the collective consciousness. As you choose love over fear, you make it easier for others to do the same. You become a silent healer, not by doing anything extraordinary, but by embodying the most extraordinary thing of all, a fully integrated, conscious human being. You may never know the lives you touch simply by holding a frequency of peace in a chaotic airport or by offering a genuinely kind word to a harried cashier. This is your legacy, not carved in stone, but etched in the invisible fabric of human connection. So continue, breathe, notice, choose, become transparent, become light, become free. The journey is every step. The destination is here. Count anew, of course. Here is the next part, which moves into the realm of transcendent unity and the ultimate implications of this work. The dissolution of the seeker. There comes a turning point on this path where a profound and beautiful exhaustion sets in. It is not the exhaustion of effort, but the exhaustion of the identity of the seeker. You have been searching for so long for answers, for peace, for the real you. You have followed maps, scales, and systems, and then in a moment of utter clarity, you realize the seeker is the final barrier. The one who is trying to become enlightened, free, or light is itself a thought, a concept, a dense knot of identity that keeps you tethered to the journey and blind to the arrival. You see that you have been trying to use the mind to solve a problem that exists only for the mind. In this exhaustion, you finally stop. You cease the seeking. You surrender not to failure, but to the undeniable truth that what you are looking for must already be here, or you could not even look for it. It is the very awareness that is doing the seeking. This is the great dissolution. The separation between the seeker and the sought, the witness and the witness begins to melt away. There is just this. The suchness of things, the isness, the raw, unfiltered experience of life, without a central manager called me interpreting it all. The unity of all things from this vantage point, the final veil lifts. The perception of separation, the root of all suffering, is seen through. You look at a tree and no longer feel like a separate self looking at an external tree. There is just the happening of tree. The air you breathe is not outside of you. It is the world breathing you. The suffering of another is not their isolated problem. It is a tremor in the unified field of consciousness that you feel intimately and to which you respond not out of obligation, but as naturally as one hand reaching to soothe the other. The two forces you once perceived, expansion and contraction, light and density, are no longer at war. They are seen as a necessary polarity, the inhale and exhale of a single cosmic breath. You cannot have one without the other. The darkness is not the enemy. It is the fertile void from which all light is born. You make peace with it all. Your practice is no longer about attaining this unity. It is about expressing it. It is about allowing this realized harmony to flow through your unique human form, through your words, your actions, your silent presence. The unfinished symphony, and so the human experience continues. You still have a personality, preferences, a history. Bills need to be paid. Meals need to be cooked. The car needs gas. But it is all experienced differently. It is like watching a movie you know is a movie. You can be fully engaged in the drama, feel the emotions, but there is a part of you that never forgets you are sitting in the theater, that the light on the screen is not all there is. This is the liberation that was promised. Not an escape from life, but a full, passionate, and free participation in it. The weight is gone because you are no longer identified with the character. You are the awareness in which the entire story unfolds. There is no more how to. There is only what is. The question is no longer, what should I do to become free? The only question that remains moment by moment is, now that I am free, how shall I love? How shall this love move through these hands? How shall this truth speak through this voice? How shall this boundless grace express itself in this finite, fragile, and breathtakingly beautiful human life? This is the unfinished symphony, and you are not its composer, nor its conductor. You are the music itself, forever playing, forever new.